Welcome in, everybody. It is show number 307. It is good to be back home in my home office. Rockies were out on the road for 10 days. We'll get to that road trip in a moment, but always want to tell you about my sponsors off the top. Huntington Bank, they're terrific. As I like to tell you, they're basically on every corner now in our area. They're going to take wonderful care of you, whether you're a small business, whether it's a personal checking situation, or if you're looking for a mortgage. So many different avenues to help you with. That's huntingtonbank.com. Check them out. Huntington Bank, presented by Huntington, home of asterisk-free checking. And you can find them again at huntingtonbank.com. Also, my friends at Steel, now is the time. It's never a bad season to be involved with Steel. They have every tool imaginable to help you around the house, to help you around the front of your yard, the back of your yard. If you're a camper, they have little tools like I have a handheld little chainsaw. It's great, battery operated, so you can cut up some dead wood, make a campfire. It's perfect this time of year. SteelUSA.com. That's STIHL, SteelUSA.com. And SteelDealers.com will let you know where the nearest dealer is to you. You can just go online and order and go pick up products. And they always have great deals going. I know, in fact, right now they have a number of deals going. So go check out Steel again, STIHL. All right, we begin. Before we get to the Rockies and Hunter Goodman in a little bit, just got done watching the Women's French Open final. Coco Gauff over Aryna Sabalenka. I love tennis. Grew up playing tennis before football and baseball kind of took over, but playing again here a bunch over the last several years. Love watching tennis. I think back to when I was growing up, and the Connors and McEnroe and Board days and Guillermo Vilas, and used to watch a lot of tennis. And growing up in New York, I would occasionally go to the U.S. Open, which was a thrilling spectacle. If you've never seen a high-level tennis match, I encourage you to go. It's like watching ping pong. As hard as they hit the ball, now they're more athletic than ever. And Coco Gauff on the women's side, she's 21. She's fabulous. Wins her second major. She won the U.S. Open a couple years back. So it was awesome to see. And Sabalenka is tremendous. She's number one player in the world. It was high-level tennis. I know it was a little windy there. Sabalenka didn't love the conditions, but both were playing in it. So congratulations to Coco Gauff. And I really enjoyed that. It was a great way to wake up. And I got to get there. I think all of you, anybody who loves sports, they have a sports bucket list. And I've been so fortunate, privileged to do what I've, been doing for 40 years professionally. And I've been to a lot of cool venues and got to call games from a lot of great venues in football, basketball, and baseball primarily. I did some tennis broadcasting a long time ago. In fact, did the first event, USTA event, and it wasn't a USTA event. I think it was it was back then. It was a World Tennis Professionals (WTP) event in mainland China in Beijing. I think it was in 1990, and appropriately, American Michael Chang, who was of Chinese descent, won that event. But it's really cool to see these major events, and so I have a sports bucket list. I've been to Wimbledon. I have never been to Roland Garros. I love Paris, as so many people do, and I'd love to get to Roland Garros. I was thinking of other things that I really want to get to. I've never broadcast in any capacity, any event at an Olympic Games. And honestly, my entire life, probably growing up, what first endeared me to this business or captivated me, even before it became an endearment because I wasn't working in it, but as a kid, loving sports, playing sports, and watching, I was always enamored. One of the first names that comes to mind is Bob Beatty. Bob Beatty used to cover ski racing, and it was ABC's Wide World of Sports typically, and oftentimes he was with the late Frank Gifford, and they'd be on the side of a mountain, and they were covering, World Cup skiing, whether it was, Franz Klammer going down a mountain at 85 miles an hour. I just thought it was the coolest thing in the world. And, eventually I got my start in Aspen in television. So I always thought that the Olympics was the be all end all. I mean, I get caught up in the Olympics. I really do. I still love it. And I've never had the opportunity to, again, be involved from a broadcast standpoint. And I've never been. In fact, I'm kicking around going to Italy next winter to catch a little bit of the Winter Olympics there. I probably have to get off my ass and figure that out soon, since it's already June. But I want to go to an Olympics. So that's part of my sports bucket list. I was just thinking about this morning. So the French Open, I have been to Wimbledon, been to the U.S. Open. Maybe the Australian Open. I wouldn't say that's super high on my bucket list. I'm doing this off the top of my head. I'm just, this is a stream of consciousness, if you will. I'm not a big Kentucky Derby guy. Like, that just recently took place, and I know it's cool and everyone dresses up in the mint juleps and all that. Never was a horse racing guy. So would it be neat if I fell into Churchill Downs one day? Yeah, but that's not high on my sports bucket list. I've been to Super Bowls. I've been to World Series. I don't think I've been to an NBA final. I don't think I have. But that's not super high. I'm trying to think of other things. Anyhow, we'll come back to that at another time. But when I was watching Roland Garros today, and the romance of Paris, which is such a beautiful city, and then the French Open and the red clay. So anyhow, it got me reminiscing. Congrats again to Coco Gauff. Did you happen to catch this? I'm sure you did. In the last couple of days, we're now firing coaches that are really successful. First, it was the Knicks, who go to the Eastern Conference Finals, and maybe, I thought the better team won in Indiana, but maybe would have been in the NBA Finals if not for that miraculous shot by Halberson, who's making a habit of making miraculous shots. He hits that three that bounced, a million miles in the air and then came right back down through the hoop. The Knicks would have won that game. Maybe the series goes differently. But anyhow, the Knicks weren't expected to make a lot of noise, maybe get to the second round where Boston was going to, clean the floor with them. They beat Boston. The defending NBA champs, they beat Boston. And then they take on the Pacers. I happened to be in New York during the series because the Rockies were playing there. And the city was upside down for the Knicks, like we haven't seen it since, the 90s, when they had an opportunity to win an NBA title. So it was fantastic to see. And as I said a moment ago, I think the better team ended up winning, Indiana. But it was a great run. Tom Thibodeau was fired a few days ago. Tom Thibodeau, who took the Knicks in 5 years to the playoffs in 4 out of 5 years, beat the Celtics, as we were just discussing, and he gets unceremoniously dumped. You never know how the Knicks are going to do things, because James Dolan, their owner, is he's interesting. I'll leave it at that. And then Peter DeBoer with the Dallas Stars. Last 3 years, the only 3 years he's been coaching the Stars, they go to the Western Conference Finals. And we know they knocked off the Avalanche in 7 games this year. They did it a year ago as well. And he gets fired. Now, Jake Ottinger, he pulled him, and for some that was controversial. Just a couple of, early in the first period, he gave up a couple of goals, and he kind of threw him under the bus, saying, what was it, 6 of the last 7 times they had played Edmonton, they had lost. I didn't like how he handled that, but, sometimes coaches regret certain things they say, especially in the immediate aftermath of a loss. But this is a coach that went to the Western Conference Finals 3 years in a row. And going back to Thibodeau, he's in the Eastern Conference Finals, and they both got dumped. And again, because the Knicks do things differently under Dolan, I'm not going to delve into that one. But I did think the one with Dallas was curious at best and suspect at worst. And I understand in sports, coaches are hired to be fired. They all know it going in. It is very, very, very rare where a coach can stay forever because they have so much success and the message doesn't get stale or the record doesn't get stale and therefore at some point a change is warranted. It's part of the business, but it's usually a team that has not had success for a while. Look what the Rockies did. I mean, it had been since 2018 since they won. There's a myriad of reasons as to why they're not winning. We touch on many at different times during this podcast. It still comes down to talent for me. But Bud Black was let go. They needed a new messenger. And now they have Warren Schaefer. But I thought it was really strange that that those two coaches who are in the Final Four in their respective sports both got let go. All right, on to the Rockies. So the Rockies coming off a 9-game road trip that saw them get swept in Chicago, saw them get swept in a good competitive series in New York against one of the 2 or 3 best teams in baseball so far through the first 60 some odd games in the New York Mets. And then they go to Miami and they sweep the Marlins. They become somewhat of a national story because of how bad things have been. The fact that they win 3 straight games, first time they've won 3 games in a row since last year. Really, first time they won 3 in a row, since May of last year when they went on a 7-game winning streak. Now, we're taping this on a Saturday morning. Last night, they lost 4-2 in a really good game against the Mets back at Coors Field. And I don't know if you caught it. It was well played. And we know the margin for the Rockies to win games is really slim because their offense isn't great. Their starting pitching has been better. Their bullpen has been actually pretty good, really good. In fact, down in Miami, one of the major reasons they won is 12 1/3 scoreless innings in Miami out of the bullpen. But it was a good game on Friday against the Mets, which again followed up what I said occurred at Citi Field between the Rockies and Mets. They played 3 pretty competitive games against the Mets. Couldn't get over the hump. Last night they couldn't either. They had the 1-0 lead on a Mickey Moniak home run. Pete Alonso behind in the count hits a 2-run double. The Rockies come back and tie it. Off the bench, Sam Hilliard, he's always a great story because of, losing his dad to ALS, but, no Sam, you just love the guy. And he's a guy that keeps grinding and he's been sent out and he comes back and he's had an impact in the first, week or so that he's been back. He triples and he ends up scoring on a Mickey Moniak hit. So Mickey drives in the 2 runs. Rockies had the bases loaded in the bottom of the 8th. It looks like, base loaded, nobody out. They're going to definitely score. And then the line drive down the third base line, diving off the bat of McMahon, diving catch by Beatty, basically falls on the bag and doubles off Jordan Beck. And there goes your rally. And, of course, in the top of the 9th inning, you knew they were going to play the Francisco Lindor card. And they did. You give the Mets credit because you have one of the great players in the game sitting on the bench with a broken pinky toe, and Lindor comes up, and not only is this guy a future Hall of Famer because all the numbers he's accumulated, how good he is defensively, he's a terrific leader, but this guy is some kind of clutch, and he ends up doubling to right. It plates 2 runs, and the Mets, behind Edwin Diaz, win the game 4-2. But Carlos Mendoza was a really good manager. He knew he had Lindor, and he was going to pick the spot to use him. There was traffic in the top of the 9th against Zach Agnos, and he ends up coming through with Lindor. Lindor also owns in a game of numbers, one of the craziest stats I've seen in I don't know how long. The last 27 times that Francisco Lindor has hit a home run, the Mets have won. Think about that. I mean, home runs come in, you know, in all shapes and sizes. And home runs sometimes come when your team is down 10-2 and you hit a home run and it's a nice moment, but it doesn't have much of an impact on the final outcome. 27 times in a row when Lindor is homered, the Mets win. And if you include twice in the postseason, it's 29 straight times. It's the longest in history, with the exception of Carl Furillo back in, what was it, the early 30s? I think, who did it 30 times. I think it was 30 or 31 times. It's remarkable. So it's the second longest ever. But that was a good ball game last night. The Rockies are playing better. They're playing more competitive. They've tightened things up defensively, though there's been, a miscue here and there. I think they've tightened up their at-bats. The energy that they're playing with, the focus that they're playing with, it is different. And I know there's still been far more losses than wins until, the Rockies were down in South Florida. And, on the air, we talk about the fact that, nobody's into moral victories. This is professional sports. But the product is better. Is the product where you want it to be? Of course not. Nobody's suggesting that. But it's better. And it was nice to see those guys get rewarded with 3 wins in a row down in Miami. And I think there's a belief in a much better vibe right now in that Rockies clubhouse, and it's fun to see. And there's some, individuals who are emerging this year. I mean, Hunter Goodman could be the Rockies representative in the All-Star game. For me, would, again, it's early to mid-June. It would be Hunter or Jake Bird. I mean, Jake Bird's been sensational out of the bullpen, as good as any reliever in baseball. Not a closer, though Jake has the ability to close. He's been utilized more frequently now in that 6th, 7th inning role by Warren Schaefer. And yesterday against the Mets, he's in a bases loaded, no out situation. He inherited 2 runners and then just grazed a hitter at the plate. So the bases are loaded, nobody out. And he strikes out 3 in a row. We talk all the time about Rockies have to accumulate more pitchers who can miss bats. It's why some of those bullpen arms are really intriguing. It's why Chase Dolander's intriguing. It's why Carson Palmquist in his last couple of outings, where he has struck out about a hitter per inning. Those are the guys that, ultimately the Rockies have to build around. But Goodman was sensational in Miami. 7 hits, 3 homers, a triple, a couple of doubles. Tyler Freeman is starting to swing it well. And you're seeing just a little bit, because they have a long way to go. We know that in terms of talent acquisition. But Warren Schaefer's got some guys, and they're buying in to a club that is going to be more athletic, take the extra base, not just talk about taking the extra base, not just talking about trying to swipe more bags, but utilizing guys like Tyler Freeman who can run, Brenton Doyle who can run, Jordan Beck who can run, even a Hunter Goodman who's an above average runner by major league standards, but certainly by catching standards, and really implementing that. And even if you get thrown out, you're not going to play with fear. And I think back to all the Rockies teams through the years. I think we always think of the Rockies in the really good years, a team that could slug. Most recently, 17 and 18. You had Arenado, you had Charlie still in his prime, Trevor Story. So you could sit back a little bit and wait for that 3-run home run, because oftentimes it came, especially at home. You think back to the Blake Street Bombers is obvious. But even, through that 2007 through 2010 period, the home run was a pretty big factor. And at different periods of time, the Rockies had some guys that could run. Trevor Story obviously could run. Cargo in his younger years could run. But I don't know if, as a whole, the Rockies had a club that was super athletic. They're not there yet, but I kind of like how they're playing, and that it's not just going to be talked about, but it's going to be implemented, particularly with the rule changes from a couple of years ago, which warrants the attention to the running game and makes the teams that are cutting edge look to run more, because it is easier to run now than it was a handful of years ago. So I like what I'm seeing, from that standpoint, and we'll see how it goes, moving forward. There's a lot of reasons why this sport's so hard. There's a lot of reasons why the Rockies are where they are. Sometimes there's regression. Michael Toglia, who I thought was, going to be a budding star, and he's still young by major league standards, and you hope he gets it figured out now that he's down in AAA, can come back and kind of be that guy that we saw in the second half last year. But it hadn't happened this year. It's one of the reasons the Rockies are where they are. Brenton Doyle, who's, batting metrics, batting profile is somewhat similar to last year, but the results haven't been there. And, he's dealt with injury. He's dealt obviously with some more important things off the field. But hopefully as we move toward, the latter part of the first half into the second half, you'll get Brenton Doyle back to where he was. Ezekiel Tovar was red hot. He just got placed on the injured list, and Ryan Ritter comes up and he hits a booming triple in his first ball game. So I'm intrigued by these young guys. The guys that have regressed, you got to see them raise it back up, right? And then some of the guys that are starting to emerge this year, Jordan Beck, Hunter Goodman, certainly, keep on raising the bar to where you are. So that's kind of where the Rockies are here after that 3-game win streak in Miami that was led by Hunter Goodman. So I thought I'd sit down with Hunter, and we did it down in South Florida and chatted a little bit about where he is and the confidence level and some other topics as well. So the Rockies' everyday catcher, Hunter Goodman, this week's guest.
It's a strange question, but I'm going to start with this. Do you feel like I'm a full-fledged big leaguer now? I mean, you've been up for a couple of years, but there's always the establishing part of the equation.
I'd say, I'm still trying to prove myself. You can do a lot of things in this league, but I feel like I have to show that I can do it day in and day out. Show the ability, show that consistently, that consistency that I had in the minor leagues. And I think that's still to come. I think this year is big, and I think so far it's been good. I just want to try and keep that momentum going.
Is there any parallels to when you played in college to, even going back to high school, where I'm sure you didn't have many slumps, many down periods, and you haven't had many this year certainly, but can you still draw parallels to how you grew up in the sport, if you will?
Yeah, I definitely agree with what you're saying. High school and college I had a lot of success, and if there was periods of not having success, it wasn't for very long. But going through the minor leagues, in AA, I had some stints where I struggled for a month. So going back to those times and taking how I was able to get out of it, or different ways I was able to control the length of those stints where it wasn't so good.
When you talk about slumps, does it help the fact that you're a catcher? Because there's so much on your plate as a catcher, kind of to distract you if, all right, you know what, I'm 1 for my last 12.
Yeah, I think catching's a good way to handle slumps. I think there's so much that I can do to help the team win behind the plate, other than using the bat that day. That I think, in my mind, it gives me a chance to do something to help the team win when my bat is not in the right place.
Even in last year, where you played some first, played some right field, did you still feel like I'm a catcher at my core?
I've always, since I've gotten drafted when I was in college, I've always felt like that's been my main position since high school, since before high school, and that's the one I'm most comfortable at, and that's what I've played the most throughout my life. And so, yeah, I feel like throughout it all, I've always thought catching's really been my main thing.
It feels like from where we sit that you've improved a lot throwing the baseball. I know the results aren't always there because you're only part of the equation in throwing runners out. Do you feel more confident in throwing the baseball at this level?
Yeah, I mean, I've done a lot of work with Garneau out in early work and the pregame stuff and all that. And I think everything's gotten a little better as we've gone on through the season. Just catching more consistently and all that stuff has helped as well. But throwing, I feel pretty good at the moment.
One of the great topics in catching is this relative recent, I don't want to call it a craze, but recent transition where so many catchers are on one knee. And at times it can cause challenges blocking. Have you found that, or do you feel like, and you've blocked well, but do you feel like you blocked just as well out of the one knee stance as the conventional one in the past?
I've been doing the one knee stance for about 3 or 4 years now, and honestly, I think if you told me to get in a traditional stance, I'd block worse than I block now, just because I've done it for so long now. And I think blocking is just more of a mentality thing than it is more of a mechanical thing. I think just you gotta have that mentality, like this ball's not gonna get by me, and I think that's a lot of what goes into it.
Specifically, we're down here doing this interview in Miami. You've had a heck of a series. You're going to play a day game here in a little bit. The 2-homer game where you hit the ball straight away out of the ballpark, that has to be, I don't want to put words in your mouth, an even better feeling than getting a home run on the pull side because you're staying in the big part of the ballpark. Is that fair?
Yeah, I'd say that's fair. I've been working the last week or so with our hitting guys, trying to get a little more length in my swing and stay behind the ball a little better, and it showing up in the game early this series was great to see, and I think it's a good thing moving forward.
You hit a huge home run, obviously, on Tuesday, 2-2 ball game. As someone that hits home runs, does it enter your mind, or are you just up there saying, I'm trying to hit the ball hard and get on base?
A lot of times it's just I'm trying to hit the ball hard, and everything out after that is out of your control. I mean, all you can do is put the bat on the ball and hit it hard, and everything else happens.
Okay, you've hit some home runs. Was that one of the sweeter ones?
The one last night?
Yeah,
the one last night was good. I liked that one a lot. I mean, just being able to take the lead late, and then our bullpen did a great job closing the door last night. It was a great win.
Are you aware that as of today, and it's kind of been the case the last several days, that you lead all major league catchers in hits?
No, I was not aware of that, but that's cool.
Yeah, pretty good stuff. Seeing your family out on the road, having them there, extra juice for you?
Yeah, sometimes for sure.
What is your mindset going forward? Not individually in terms of, do you put numbers in your head, or do you just say, hey, I'm going to show up every day and grind?
Honestly, just show up every day and try and get a little bit better every day. And I think if you do that throughout the season, you're going to see some things improve.
Hunter, do you have a go-to person in the game to bounce things off of, whether things are going great as they are now, or when there's the eventual slump, which comes for every player?
I mean, I talked to Nick and Pacheco a lot. I had them in the minor leagues. Me and them talk every day about different stuff. But I'd say, like, for the mental side and just more like conversations about the game. I mean, me and my dad talk every night about the baseball game. Like, we'll talk about anything from my pitch calling that day or to my last at bat. We'll go over the whole game.
I've often wondered this. Has there been any time now in your big league career where you pushed the wrong button? You're like, wait, I didn't want to slide her away. I wanted to two-seamer in.
I have to say I have pressed the wrong button on accident. I did it last night actually, but ended up getting the right pitch before he came set. So, but yeah, it's happened before.
Now, what's the mechanics of that? If you push the wrong button, do you look at him and kind of shake with your hand?
Yeah, I looked up, just kind of shook my head, saying like not that pitch, and then just clicked the other one, and he said, yeah, all right, and then get it going.
Is it like being on a computer keyboard? Can you do it without looking now? Yeah,
I have the buttons memorized pretty good to where I can do it, and I don't have to look at what button I'm pressing. And there's only 9, so it's not a crazy amount of buttons that you got to remember.
How about dummy shakes? How do you handle dummy shakes now since everything's automated?
I'll either shake my head at him and he'll shake it back, or there's a button on there that says cancel, and kind of use that one as shake.
Again, last thought, you've had a lot of success in baseball. I know this season from a record standpoint, certainly nowhere near where anybody wants it to be. Do you see a light at the end of the tunnel with this group?
Yeah, I mean, I think you look at this team, there's a lot of young guys, including me. I mean, we have Beck, we have a bunch of young guys. Our bullpen's really young. We have some young starters like Palmquist and Dolander that are showing a lot of promise. I think you have to look for light at the end of the tunnel. I mean, guys are coming into the big leagues and trying to learn to play at the big league level, and I think everybody's seen it the last 2 weeks. I mean, we played the Phillies, the Cubs, the Mets, the Yankees. Like, we're in every one of those games. We're losing close ball games, and it's been nice this series to win a few close ball games. But just us learning to win those ball games at the end, towards the late innings, is going to be big.
All right, a lot of quick ones. Do you find yourself now getting recognized a little bit when you're wandering around downtown or Cherry Creek?
I haven't yet. I haven't been wandering too much, but I haven't. Not this year, not yet.
Good deal. Hey, stay well. Continued success, man.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Hunter is a good man. I haven't claimed him yet as my nephew on this podcast, but he's in a good place. And you can see the confidence, and you can see the confidence in how he responds to things. He loves to play. And I think the more guys you have that love to play, that are baseball grinders, the better off you'll be, as long as they have requisite talent. And, if you like advanced metrics, I'll give you one little snippet on Hunter Goodman. Last year, his hard hit percentage was around 39%. This year, it's above 50%. So more than 50% of the balls that leave his bat are at 95 miles an hour or greater. That's an increase of over 11 percentage points, which is enormous. And being above 50% is fantastic. So that's why you're seeing the results from Hunter Goodman, who is going to catch, 4 out of 5 days. The Rockies did release Jacob Stallings. They brought up Braxton Fulford. And with all due respect to Jacob Stallings, it's the right move. Jacob, had a really good year last year. He was hitting, about a 140-ish, no home runs. But this is all about finding guys that are going to be part of the solution. That's why I'm glad Ritter's here, even though I wish Tovar wasn't hurt. I want to see what he's got. He was tearing up the PCL. I mean, for a month, the numbers were ungodly. I think 12 home runs in the month of May, 31 RBIs. And it was great to see him, play with that calmness that we had heard about in AAA, and hit that huge triple in the ball game on Friday in his debut. So the Rockies need Tovar back, but need to take a look at Ritter as well. They could take a look at Fulford as a number 2 catcher. We know he's really good defensively. We saw him for about 8 at-bats earlier this year. He got his first major league hit, which was a home run. So this youth trend should continue to try to find guys that are going to be part of the solution here as the Rockies move forward in the month of June. That'll do it for this edition of the podcast. We appreciate all of you for always checking us out. Big thanks to Marky. Big thanks to Alex. And stay well. We'll do it again in 7 days. Take care, everyone.